Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeons in the Attic podcast. Climb the stairs, take a seat, grab some dice. It's time to play some RPGs in the attic. I'm your host, DM Mike, and I am here alone. That's right. I'm alone in the attic tonight, playing some solo RPGs. This is a segment I've always wanted to do, and I feel so excited that I'm finally able to run a solo RPG. I've been doing this at home by myself because I love storytelling. I love improv. I love character design. I love adventures and writing and journaling and all these sorts of things. They all kind of come together for me in solo RPGs. It's the confluence, the crossroads of everything I love about games and telling stories and fiction. And I'm just so excited that I get to share this with you guys. Some of you might know we're in the middle of our season 2 break. We're going to be coming back to season 2 soon. But in the meantime, I felt like I could fill up the void with some solo RPG games because they're my favorite form of storytelling when I don't have a party of people to play with. So that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to be playing Barrows and Borderlands. So I did an unboxing for Barrows and Borderlands by Matthew Tapp. It's a weird science fantasy, old school style role-playing game of, I believe it was, it's a dark radioactive wasteland of magic, black powder, and dragons. It is basically like the little white box you would have gotten in the mail if you ordered D&D back in the 70s. He's trying to recreate that feeling of getting those little white booklets in this, false wood grain box. It's just so cool. It's got all the old school type font on it and, black and white pencil illustrations. I'm just so excited to play it. This is exactly the kind of old school game I would want to run for any table, but solo especially. I think this is going to be a great time. So we're going to dive in. We're going to start making characters today, and we're going to get into some adventures. I'm not going to bore you with too much character creation. I'll just give you the details. But let's open it up and let's get to character creation. So we need men and mutants. This is the booklet we're going to use to create some characters today. Okay, let's open her up to creating a character. Start with a blank sheet of the character sheet found in this set. Okay, so we've got our character sheets. We got our character sheets right here for you. You can check those out right there. Pretty cool, very old school. I love this like old sort of, it really does look like old weathered yellow paper. I love this look. Just looks like something you would have found in your dad's basement, and he had it hiding, in a stack of games. There's Monopoly, and there's a box of plastic chess and Sorry. And then in between there is a little false wood grain box, and inside are these like weathered yellow pages. And these are our character sheets. So let's get started. We'll do our first character. Write down the 7 core stats of strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, radiation. All right, so unlike normal D&D, we have strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, and then we also have radiation resistance because this is a radioactive wasteland. So we need to roll 3d6 for each ability score in the order listed. So I'm going to be doing, I want to do 5 characters. I like a big party with lots of personality, and I really want to emphasize that there are these different characters going on this journey together. So I think I'm going to do 5. We'll get to 4. We'll see how we feel, but I kind of want 5. So 3d6, here we go. First character. Okay, so first roll, not bad. We got an 11. So we'll write that down. So an 11 strength. Moving on. Next roll. Okay, we got a 9, 10, 11 for dexterity. Moving on. Try to make this as fast as possible. We got a 9, 10, 11 for constitution. Wow. Pretty average across the board. Okay. Next we got a, 8, 9, 10. Wow. Not getting any better. 10 for intelligence. Okay. Moving on. We got, a 9. Wow, we're just going down. We went 11, 11, 11, 10, 9. Well, charisma is going to be crazy high for this guy. That's what I'm going to predict. Nope, not at all. He got a 9. So we're just trending downward on this guy. I am loving this. Okay, we got a 1. We got a 2. We got a 4. Wow, we went all the way down to 7 radiation resistance. So final scores. Let's see if we do we get to switch anything? Nope. That's our scores. Check it out. 11, 11, 11, 10, 9, 9, and 7. Yikes. Woo, okay. What are you going to do? That is not great. All right, next step, choose a race for your character. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to roll stats for everybody in a row. So that's character 1. Here's character 2. 5, 5, 4. We've got a 14 for strength. Okay, that's a good start. I'm liking that. By the way, can I just say, I'm having such a great time sipping on this coffee here. This Big Mouth Coffee in Beacon, New York. We're a local Beacon podcast, and we're very proud of that. And Big Mouth Coffee in Beacon is my favorite coffee spot. They have hosted 2 of our live shows very graciously, and we're great friends with them. And we're just really excited to be part of their ecosystem, and we love shouting them out. So thanks, Big Mouth, for this big old large cup of coffee this morning. It's just what I needed to get me started. Oh, coffee and RPGs. Is there anything better? I don't know. Morning RPGs and coffee. Probably my favorite thing in the world. Okay, next stat, dexterity. We got an 11, a 12. 12 total. 12 dexterity. Okay, not bad. Trending downwards, but not bad. Okay, next stat, 7, 8, 9, constitution. Ooh, trending downwards. Okay, come on. Big numbers. We got 11. Okay, 12, 13. Okay, I'll take it. 13 intelligence. Coming back up. High strength, high intelligence. Okay, 5, 6. So we're at 11 and 1. All right, another 12 for wisdom. This guy's doing much better, though. Okay, next stat. Oof, a 7 for charisma. Not very fun to talk to, this one. Okay, 3, 2, 4. That's 7, 8, 9. Radiation resistance. Okay, yeah, not bad. High strength, high intelligence, and, so that's pretty much it. Everything else is kind of middling. And I wouldn't even say high intelligence. A 13 is not very high. All right, character number 3. Come on. Okay, we got a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for strength. Nothing special. Okay, and a 9, 10 for dexterity. Nothing special. And we've got, 7, 8 for constitution. Not very hardy. 4 and 4 is 8, and 1 is 9 for intelligence. Nothing special. We've got this was a 2, and it flipped over. So that was a 5, and 6 is 11 wisdom. Man, just sort of middling party here. We got one guy that's maybe going to be okay. So we got 3, 5. Okay, and 11 for charisma. I want to see a big number, man. I want to see 3 6s. 4, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 radiation resistance. All right, that's a middling character. But you know what? I got to be honest. Middling characters are what make D&D interesting. It's fun to play an OP character who can just kick ass all the time and is always getting huge bonuses to his rolls. But, to be honest with you, trying to figure out how to survive as a character who's pretty average is actually quite fun. If you're into the sort of survival style, old school role-playing experience that I'm into. I really love you need to use your wits. You got to use everything in your pack. It's not about just hitting and killing and being done with it, knowing you're going to get through because you got 100 hit points. You have middling strength. You've got very little in your pack. You have maybe 2 hit points, and you got to figure out how to get the heck out of here. And you're surrounded by goblins, kobolds, rats, snakes, or it's a trap. I love having to use your wits to understand your environment and to overcome it. Okay, character number 4. Here we go. 1, 4, 1. Oh, Jesus. Oh my. A 6 strength. Okay. This might be like a halfling, not a dwarf. Dwarfs would be strong. If there's a halfling race, I'm probably going to put him on this one. 6, 4, 5. All right. Our dexterity is very high. We have a 15. Dexterity. That's pretty great. Love that. So this might be our a thiefy halfling character here. Let's see. Constitution 7. Okay. 12. Yeah, 12. 12 constitution. That's not bad. Okay. And this is not looking good. A 2, a 1, and a 1 for intelligence. This guy is dumb as hell. We got a 4 intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, we have rolled a 4 intelligence. Oh my God. They're the most dexterous plank of wood you've ever met. Okay. A 1, a 2, a 6. So that's a 7, 8, 9 wisdom. Okay. 2 more. Here we go. Charisma. 6, 2, 4. Okay. Strangely enough, he is sort of charismatic. He's a 12 in charisma. So, now I'm starting to get a better picture of him. He's not like a boring, I mean, we don't even know who he is yet or if it's she or what, but let's just keep growing. All we know is that they have high dexterity, incredibly low intelligence, like to the point where they can't read, and pretty good charisma. Okay, and for radiation resistance, this is interesting. We got a 13 radiation resistance. All right, that's character 4. All right, one more. Here we go. And actually, they provide you with 5 character sheets, so this is sort of fortuitous. Okay. All right, so we've got a 10, 14 strength. Great. That's good. Okay, we've got 7, 8 dexterity. We've got 6 constitution. We've got 6, 7, 8 intelligence. We've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wisdom. We've got 8 charisma. And finally, we've got 13 radiation resistance. Awesome. Okay, so we have rolled everybody's scores. So we're moving on to part 2 of character creation now. Okay, so we need to choose a race for our character. Your referee may offer certain options. All right, so we just need to pick a race. Okay, so let's pick some races real quick. We've got human, kobold, starborn, halfling, dwarf, mycelian, mutant, fairy, and a green skull. Interesting. Okay, and they have additional abilities as well. A green skull. I believe that's irradiated in this world. We're going to look it up real quick. Great. Okay, so green skulls are creatures of radiation and undeath. Green skulls have become so overcome by the power leaking from star material that they have overcome death and now wander the wastes. They range from pale green skeletons to glowing radioactive bones, all the way to seemingly having a green translucent skin. Must have either gone insane through time or found ways to survive, hated by most as vile creatures. So these are essentially like ghouls from Fallout. Starborn are living fragments of fallen stars given flesh and form. Their alabaster skin glows with inner light. Their golden eyes holding knowledge that no mortal was meant to possess. They walk among us as exiles from heaven, bearing powers the church would burn them for. Very interesting. Kobolds, pure strain humans, halflings, dwarves, and mycelians, which are colonies of thinking fungus that mimic human form. They speak in voices like rotting leaves, trade in poisons and prophecies, and remember when men were animals in their realm. Wow. And then there are fairies, winged fey tricksters who lure men with the promise of wishes and enchantments. It is said they can assume a larger form when necessary and carry with them strange magics. Okay, so these are our races to choose from. So I think we're just going to kind of feel it out here. All right, so we'll start with this last character we made. He's got a 14 strength and 13 radiation resistance. I think we have another high radiation resistance here, but I think I'm going to just go with, we're just going to go for it. We're going to make this guy a green skull. So he's a ghoul. That's done. Next, we've got low strength and high dexterity. I don't know. I feel like this is a fairy, right? Low strength and high dexterity. It sounds like a fairy to me. Maybe a halfling. I think because the constitution is high, yeah. And a fairy, this character has 4 intelligence. That's really low. I don't think a fairy would have low intelligence or a middling wisdom like 9. So I'm going to go with halfling on this guy. Next, we have our guy that has everything's sort of 11, 10, 8, 9, 11, 11, 9. Nothing special here. I think this is going to be straight up human being. No offense. Just a pretty average, regular old human being. So, and next we've got high strength, pretty okay dexterity at 12. So 14 strength, 12 dexterity, 13 intelligence, 12 wisdom. I mean, this is pretty great. I really like these stats here. Let's look at the Starborn real quick. Let's see what additional abilities they get. And maybe based off that, we'll know. Because I want somebody to be... I want to basically have almost one of everyone. So a Starborn gets -1 to strength, +1 to charisma, and +4 to radiation resistance. That's interesting. This might be a mycelium, a mushroom person. You know, it's funny. Looking at this, it doesn't look like anybody gets any pluses to their intelligence, no matter what race they are. Okay, I think I'm going to go mutant with this one. I don't know why. I'm just going to trust my gun on this. We're going to go mutant. So this is our mutant. 14 strength, 13 intelligence, 12 wisdom, mutant. Last and certainly least, we have our 11, 11, 11, 10, 9, 9, 7. Again, very middling, nothing special, low radiation resistance. Well, we already have a human. This isn't a dwarf. Not very high wisdom. Let's go kobold. Just for fun. Okay, so we've picked all of our races. We've got all of our stats as far as ability scores. Next, we have to pick a class that fits your character's stats. Each class has a prime requisite that affects how fast you level up. Add any bonuses or penalties based on species or class. All right, here are the classes. We got a fighting man, warrior fighter kind of thing, magic user. We have a cleric. We have a half-caster. What's a half-caster? Half-caster. Caught between steel and sorcery, the half-caster blends martial prowess with arcane talent. So it's like almost like a warlock, a spell sword. Some were born of cursed unions, others trained in shadowed halls where blades sparked besides spellfire. They walk a narrow path, masters of neither tradition, but dangerous all the same. All right, so let's start with our kobold here. So highest stat is strength, dexterity, and constitution. I mean, I guess he's just a fighter, He just kind of like shows up to, kick some butt, I think. I think he's just like a reliable fighter. He's going to get +1 to his strength and to his constitution as well. So that'll bring him up to 12 on both of those. Yeah, let's get him. He's a fighting man, a fighting kobold. His Thaco, his 2-hit armor class 0, which is what we use in Hyperborea. His Thaco is 19. So that means he has to roll on a d20, a 19 or better, to hit an armor class 0, which is essentially the best armor in the game. Some demons and extraplanar creatures go down to -1, -2, -3, which I think is really cool. I think that's kind of metal, that some things could be in the negatives. They're so hard to hit. But this character is going to have to roll a 19 at level 1 to hit the best armor in the game. He gets a favored weapon that gets +1 to hit and to damage. So let's get him a weapon. Let's get this kobold a cool weapon. +1 to hit and to damage. Right away, I really would love him to be favored in... I really like a tomahawk is pretty cool. Yeah, flail would be sick. Tomahawk would be sick. Trident would be pretty cool. And a spear would be pretty cool. One of those. Let's just leave it up to random roll. So we're going to do, what do we got? Tomahawk, flail, spear, and trident. So we're going to roll D4. Tomahawk, flail, spear, and trident. Number 3, tomahawk, flail, spear. He wields a spear. That's his favorite weapon, is a spear. Okay, and because he's a kobold, he's going to get +1 to his strength. So now he's a 12. He's going to get +1 to his constitution, which makes that a 12 as well. And -1 to his charisma, making that an 8. Characters begin fluent in their native language. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. We're going to have some characters that can't communicate with each other, but that are traveling with each other. I think that's pretty interesting. So the kobold can only speak kobold. He knows his native language and that's it. And we've got to play that as it is, which I really think is a lot of fun. I love language barriers and overcoming them and role-playing those. His charisma is an 8, and that's going to get him -1 to reaction and loyalty adjustments. That makes sense. He's a kobold. I mean, he's potentially dangerous. He's kind of like a wild dog, modern D&D, 5th edition D&D kind of portrays kobolds almost like dogs. And you wouldn't trust a dog, right? A wild dog out in the wild, can't communicate with him either, can you? Right? So he doesn't speak your language. So of course he would have -1 to his reactions and his loyalties and things like that. And he can only, if he ever gets retainers, have 3 max. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit longer to get all of this done. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to make all these characters really quickly. You kind of got an idea of how the characters are made with the kobold, but now I'm going to quickly do those off camera, and I'll come back and I'll show you any interesting bits along the way that I found. Alrighty, we'll see you in a second. Hey guys, welcome back. We are finished making our characters. I'm finished making my characters. And I've got some really fun things to share with you. So first off, we have our kobold. Okay. His name is Grak. That's what I named him. Grak the kobold. He's a fighting man or a fighter, level 1. Chaotic, good alignment. He, let's see what we got here for Grak. He wields a spear. We knew that. And he's faster when he's unarmed and he's on all fours. So he can run quickly and kind of bite and claw at people if he doesn't have his spear, if he drops it or throws it or whatever. And he also wields a large shield. He can only speak his native language of kobold. So that's going to be an issue as far as communication goes. Next up, we have Kalir, the mutant plant man. Pretty cool. So you, when you choose a mutant, you can make them a mutant human, mutant plant, or a mutant animal, I believe. I chose plant. I don't know. Just wanted to see what that was like. He's going to be a half caster. That's his class. He has pretty high HP, actually. He's got 6, and Grak has 8. Because fighting men start with 8 HP. You have minimum HPs in this game. Everyone usually gets like around 4, but fighting men start with 8, so that's cool. But Kalir, the mutant plant man, rolled a 6 on his D6, so he got the maximum hit points for himself. He has a boarding axe. I had this idea that he's this mutant plant that, he watched people coming into the forest and chopping down trees, and he sort of wanted to get revenge. So he took his own axe, and now he's axing anybody, that looks like somebody that would have invaded his forest and killed the people, the plants that he knew, the beings he knew and loved. He's got a pretty high intelligence. So he has +3 to languages, which is pretty cool. So he's going to be our translator in this group. So for his languages, right now I've chosen 2. I've kept the third as a sort of surprise. We're going to figure out in some sort of moment. We're going to be like, oh, can he actually speak this language? And we're going to roll to see if he does, or if it makes sense if he does. So I've kept the third one sort of off the table for now, but the 2 he knows are kobold and common. So he's going to be able to talk to Grak. I think they're friends. I think they're both from some sort of radiated forest. Yeah, I think he's friends with his kobold companion here, and he knows how to speak it, and he can translate what Grak says to anybody else that speaks common, which I think is pretty fun. He also, though, he has this mutant, because he's a mutant, he has a mutation. So he has -1 to his armor class, and he takes +1 damage from fire and acid, which is why I ended up going with like a plant mutant, because that made sense to me that he would like be more susceptible to fire and acid and things like that. So he also gets a level 1 spell as a half caster. So I gave him sleep, the most powerful spell of any starting class at level 1. Take sleep every single time. Take sleep, take sleep. Sleep allows you to put to sleep 2d8, right? You could potentially put to sleep 16 creatures of level 1 or 1 hit die. You could put to sleep potentially 12 creatures of 2 hit die, a maximum of 6 creatures of 3 hit die, and one 4 hit die creature for 20 minutes. It's 2 turns, it's 10 minutes each, 20 minutes. You put 16 creatures to sleep. That's incredibly powerful. That could really save your skin in bad situations. So that is going to be Kalir, the mutant half caster, mutant plant half caster. Kalir and Grak, good friends. I see them as Grak is this sort of like, dog, dragon kind of, feral creature with a spear, and Kalir, his mutant plant friend, who they've learned to like get along and they work together. And so they're sort of a pair. And Kalir is sort of more slow and thoughtful. And he kind of like a treant would be like from Lord of the Rings, but not as like old and wise, more just like quiet and contemplative, but also capable of great violence. And he would do something like, he'd be like, Greg says that he doesn't like you, something along those lines. Next, we have Father Nicodemus. Okay, so he's a cleric, but he's a green skull, which essentially means he's a radiated skeleton, like gooey man mess. I'm really excited about this character. He is this, in my mind, he's this sort of zealous psycho. Okay, I made him chaotic good, but he's still chaotic. So I think he was a normal person, maybe even like a criminal before something terrible happened to him. He was blasted with radiation and survived, or some sort of monster, changed his DNA forever. And he became this green skull, this radiated skeleton man. And basically like it just fried his brain. And I think he is in contact with some sort of deity or God that he's talking to that gives him power, or he believes gives him power. And that's the source of his power. And so I just see him as this, like, he wields a morning star, right? A ball on the end of a handle with spikes sticking out of it. And I just see him as this sort of angel of death. I'm not really sure what it is he believes in yet, but I do know that he believes fervently and zealously of his beliefs. I got to figure out what his beliefs are, but he's out of his mind, but he's also good. Everyone that I'm making is good in some way or neutral, but I don't think I actually have any neutral characters, but everybody is going to be good. Like, they want good things for most people, not enemies. But they're all sort of outcasts. So they're all chaotic. We've got this like irradiated green skull man who would never be accepted in society, who's gone mad. We've got this mutant plant man. We've got this wild kobold. So I'm sort of putting together this team of like outcasts, this Suicide Squad, if you will. It kind of reminds me of like the Weasel. Grak the kobold kind of reminds me of like the Weasel from Suicide Squad 2. Kalir is kind of reminding me of like Groot, right? It's not Suicide Squad, but it's, they're sort of like this like outcast band of misfits. So for Father Nicodemus, the Green Skull cleric, he's immune to radiation. He does not need to sleep. He has a 2 in 6 chance of forming a human disguise from fresh dead bodies. He can see infravision, 60 feet in the dark. Infravision does not mean you can see in the dark. What it means is that you can see shapes. It's essentially infrared, right? You're not discerning detail, you're seeing shape. So he can see creatures' shapes in the darkness, but he can't read in the dark. But he can see that there's a book there, essentially. And he has 3 first level spells. He's got Cure Light Wounds. He has Light, which is equal to a torch, and that lasts for looks like 6 plus his caster level, which is 1. So 7 turns. That's 70 minutes, over an hour. And he also has protection from evil. And because he is a chaotic cleric, he can control 4 plus his caster level of undead. Pretty cool. So he can control 5 undead creatures if he rolls high enough. So he can turn undead or control the undead, which I think is so cool. And I want that to be part of his mythos here. I think something along the lines of the fact that he's not convinced that death is the end and that the undead are holy creatures in some way, the evolution maybe. Something like that. Reminds me of John Romero's Land of the Dead series, where the zombies were like the next evolution of mankind, and they had that like big zombie that was leading them. Very, very interesting stuff. Okay. This next character is my halfling thief. His name is Patrick P. Porkpie, because I had to. I'm sorry. I just had to. It had to be like an alliterative name like that. He is chaotic good. Let's see what else. What is interesting about Patrick? He has a flintlock pistol. That's fun. That basically ignores 5 armor classes right off the bat. So it's basically a +5 to hit to fire this pistol, plus an additional to hit because he has such high dexterity. He has 16 dexterity. So +6 to hit with this flintlock pistol. So that's pretty cool. It goes right through armor. But the drawback is that it takes 5 rounds to reload. So he's going to fire it once, probably in a battle just to get started. And then he moves over to his short bow, which is a +2 to hit, again, because of that high dexterity. The pistol also has a misfire chance. If it's a 1 in 10, always. I have to roll a D10, and if I get a 1, it misfires. If it's damp, like you're in a damp dungeon, you got to roll a 2 in 10 for a misfire. And if he's wet at all, if there's any water that he's submerged himself into recently, it's a 4 in 10 chance of a misfire. What I like about this game is that you can invest skills for thieves. You get 4 skill points for your thief. So it's not that you just start with the base chances for your different skills and they grow as you level up. You get to decide where you want to be best, what skills you want to be best at. So I gave him, he starts because he's a halfling with hearing noises at a 2 and 6. You roll a D6. If he gets a 2 or 1, he's going to hear noises on the other side of the door or some monster approaching. And then I invested my 4 points like this. I gave him 2 points to open locks, and I gave him 2 points to find or remove traps. So you start at 1, so +2 is 3. So he has a 3 and 6 of opening locks and a 3 and 6 of finding or removing traps. You roll a D6. If you get a 3 or less, he's going to succeed on the roll. Pretty cool. I really like this system of investing points into what you want your thief to be best at. I think that is a much needed change for me in most games, old school games. I think that's a good innovation, and I'll probably be bringing this rule set along with me if I run any old school games for thieves. Oh, yes, I've bought bullets for him. Everybody rolls 3d6 to determine how much silver they start with. He started with not that much, looks like 15 silver. Oh, so very close to the maximum, but bullets cost a lot, and so does buying the short bow that I got him. So I didn't have any money left for arrows or gunpowder. So right now he has bullets, but he doesn't have gunpowder to shoot them with, and he doesn't have arrows to shoot for his bow. So we're going to have to earn some money for Patrick P. Pork Pie very quickly. That's about it for Patrick. He's a thief. His intelligence is 4. Yeah. This last character, my 5th character, is actually the one I'm most excited about. And I think this is my main character. It is a human girl. She's young. I think she's like maybe 17 or 18. She's coming of age in this moment. Her name is Thomason, just like the character in The Witch, Robert Eggers' The Witch. Great movie. It's a good Halloween watch. I feel like it's a very just classic Halloween sort of feel, like a witch in the woods, in Puritan times. Man, I mean, just what a great setting. And I think it's also, that movie is also informing how I feel about the setting here, right? It is the future, but there's this sort of like Puritan thing going on with flintlock pistols and muskets and things like that. And it's interesting. It's like a new, like a apocalyptic Puritan, on the cover, you got this guy like holding a musket. He's got like a hat. He looks like he's straight out of Puritan times. And I just want to kind of lean into that. And so the name Thomason and the character from The Witch just kind of struck me. And I am unashamedly going to be using the name. She's lawful good for now. And her class is she's a psychic. She gets to invest psychic points into disciplines. And I invested into the most powerful discipline. You would need to spend double the points. You start with 4 points and you need to invest 2 to awaken a discipline. For mental assault, which is the discipline I chose, you need to invest all 4 points just to get 1 rank in mental assault. So that's what I did because I thought that was the coolest one. And basically mental assault is you like reach into the mind of your foe and you can basically like destroy them from within. So she is wearing padded armor and she has a backpack. But I think this is my main character, Thomason. I have this idea in my mind that she's sort of like finding herself outcast from this Puritan society that she's a part of, probably a very heavily religious society that she's a part of, being sort of run out of town. I think something is going on in the village or town that she hails from, and nefarious people are trying to take advantage of her and her family and turn people against her, kind of like a witch, like a sort of a witch hunt, which is why I was inspired by The Witch. And I think that she is, instead of being able to rely on the men and women of her town and even her own father and mother who might be afraid of her, I think she's going to sort of run off into the woods, into the wasteland, and meet this ragtag group of crazy people. Good people, but crazy people. So Patrick P. Porkpie, the chaotic thief, Father Nicodemus, the melting green skull priest, Kalir, the mutant plant, and his buddy Grak, the kobold. I don't know. I just see this interesting, like, Beauty and the Beasts kind of thing going on here, where they're all outcasts in their own way, and they're going to have to fight against real evil, not them. They're portrayed as evil by this Puritan society, but true evil lies within the heart of that Puritan society. Corruption and depravity, something dark and evil is happening within the heart of this Puritan village or city that she hails from. And when she leaves that place, either running away or being chased away, she runs into this group of misfits. All right, great. So we've got our characters. Now before we sign off, let's figure out the situation. All right, so I have with me the Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd edition. I love this book. It's full of random charts and random tables for rolling, nouns and verbs and all sorts of things for inspiration. It's an incredible system for generating your own solo role-playing experiences. And it's just so useful for generating ideas on the fly and generating a story, one that you would never have thought of on your own. For me, this is an essential tool for solo role-playing games. And I think even for just planning a campaign, sometimes you get stuck, you get writer's block, you're thinking of the same things. Your brain is not really designed for thinking of new things. Your brain has to see other abstract elements and then put them together in order to find something new. This is something that helps. If you're a writer, if you're a game master, this is an essential tool for creativity in general, and I don't play without it. Okay, so we're going to go to the back of the book where they have all of the random charts here, and we're going to look for a table that will help us understand where we are and what's going on. So, okay, how about we got locations here, we got curses, we got dungeon traps, city descriptors, and civilization descriptors. Let's try it. Let's start with civilization. We're going to roll twice on this civilization descriptors table. First roll, that's a 96. 96 gives me the word weak. Ooh, okay, weak. I like that. Next word, 88. Strong. What? Weak and strong. Okay, so immediately that makes me think that the civilization that we're starting from right now is projecting strength, but is in actuality rotting from the inside, is falling apart, is on the edge of collapse. Projecting strength and on the edge of collapse. Love that. Okay, so that's our civilization. That's what we got so far. Let's move on to the city itself. So 57. We've got a mighty city, okay, mighty, and 80 flat, rough, mighty and rough. Okay, so what this makes me think about is mighty fortress. I think fortress. I think something, an impenetrable stronghold. And then the rough part makes me think we're on the edge of civilization, right? We're out in the wilderness where it's rough out here. And which makes sense, right? This is exactly how you should be starting a campaign. They always say start on the edge of civilization. I mean, yeah, you can play in cities and you can play urban adventures. Sure, definitely go for it. My whole Aldebaran campaign is basically one big urban adventure, but it's a city isolated and surrounded by wilderness. And that allows for adventure to happen quickly outside of the city. So this is some sort of stronghold on the edge of civilization, right near where? So what are we right next to? What's the terrain look like? Let's do that. We'll roll on the terrain table. We got a 61. 61 is nondescript. That's very helpful. 46 is lethal. Ooh, okay. Lethal and nondescript. Lethal is definitely, I can work with that. Nondescript. I'm not going to re-roll it. I want to work with it. Let's work with it. It's abstract. Let's figure it out. It is a land that defies description, isn't it? This reminds me of in Dune, they talk about how the deep south of the desert is only creatures of faith can survive there. Only creatures that have a belief in something beyond life can survive there. This is a truly desolate wasteland out here, which is totally fitting. Nondescript, we don't. A key to solo role playing is not to get tied up in the result. Throw away results if they don't work for you. If I didn't want to use nondescript, I could just toss it away and just go with lethal. But working with it and trying to flow with it and see what else comes to mind, it's basically like improv. In improv, there's a rule. There's, I think it's like the rule of three. It's like you get that first prompt and then you think of what that prompt makes you think about. And then you think about what that thing you thought about makes you think about. So if you were to get toothbrush, you'd think yellow teeth, and then yellow teeth make you think of coffee. And then you start with coffee. And that's how you get into a scene. So don't get hung up on words and results. Try to flow with them and work with them and let them be abstract rather than rules. And you will do just fine. So nondescript, like we said, defies description. It really, truly defies description, but we got to have some sort of description here. So let's do visions and dreams. Why not? Just to get something. Okay, 97. Unsettling. Okay, I like this. I think this is like I think this part of the world that we're in, it is a place where reality doesn't sit quite well. It is a place of shifting realities. Not all the time, and certainly not, just like every other day. But once in a while, you might run into something that turns you around and you end up somewhere you didn't mean to be. What I'll do to sort of bring that to life is I'll roll randomly sometimes when we're traveling to see if something happens. Maybe I'll just roll a D100, and if I get, maybe like a 5 or lower, it's really hard to get that. But if I get a 5% or lower, maybe something crazy happens. A reality shift happens. So we've got kind of got this idea of this like bleak wasteland, radioactive wasteland of shifting reality outside of our stronghold. But what about what's going on inside the stronghold? What's our main issue here? What is causing us to have to flee? Thomason is fleeing, I think, persecution in some way, running away or being driven out of this stronghold. Why? What is going on? What is the main problem here? So let's get some ideas. Let's get some clues. So we're going to roll on the meaning tables here. We got a 78 passively. Okay, interesting. And then 76 on descriptor 2, passively powerful. That makes me think about something radiating power, right? It's not like it's an action that's being taken. There's something growing or radiating some sort of evil somewhere nearby. And I think this is why Thomason's latent psychic abilities are now opening up. I think something has been started or some sort of spell has been cast within the walls of the city or even underneath this stronghold. It's not really a city. It's more like a small like citadel, like a castle city, probably up on a hill to protect itself. Very keep on the borderlands, really, if you know what that is. And I think something truly vile is happening within the walls or underneath it. And I let's see. I'm gonna roll a percentage chance to see if it's being caused by man or something else. Like if it's something that someone in the town is doing, or if it's something that is happening without anybody's knowledge, not some governor, not some priest, nobody. So we're going to say it's unlikely that nobody is causing this, right? That it's just something that's happening deep within the city that people aren't aware of. So I'm going to say if I roll a 25% or lower, then it is something nobody knows about. But anything above 25%, there's somebody causing it. Okay, I rolled a 57, so it is something that someone is causing. Is it a town leader? Very likely, very likely. So I'm going to say a 75%, maybe even 80% likely that it is some sort of town leader that is causing this. So we're going to go with 80 or lower. Yeah, 32. So yes, it is some sort of a leader in the community that is causing this. We're not going to go over who it is yet. We're going to leave that open for us to figure out later. But there is somebody in the leadership of this community that is causing some great evil to start blooming within the city walls. And it's awakening Thomason's latent psychic abilities, and she's beginning to see visions of awful things, terrible things that defy description. And I think it's identified her, right? It's like whatever this evil is, it's saying, I see you. I know you're there. It can feel her psychic energy, and it's awakening her. And she's waking up in the middle of the night in her bed in a profuse sweat that, she's terrified. She's like crawling backwards on her bed out of her mind with fear. And she doesn't know who to go to or who to talk to. And maybe one day she goes and talks to her local cleric, the local father. And let's see how that conversation goes for her. We're going to go to conversations. So she's going to go talk to the local cleric here. Let's see what that conversation is like. 52. Inform. Okay. And 23. Combative. Oh, there you go. It's funny sometimes how the results seem to align. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they really do. So informative and combative, or inform and combative. So I think she's going there in all earnest, trying to be honest with this father who's probably been her priest since she was born, probably even maybe baptized her. I don't know if the religion in this world if they have baptisms or not. I don't know exactly what's going on, but for shorthand, it's some sort of, Judeo-Christian sort of religion, Puritan, just think Puritans. And she probably trusts this man, right? She's been raised to trust the father, and he'll know what to do. So she goes to her local cleric. We'll say his name is Father Morgrave, Morgrave, Father Morgrave. And Father Morgrave is not happy to hear this. He's being combative, whether he has some sort of agenda or if he is actually like truly a believer in his faith and is saying, this is bad, this is evil. She's having these visions. Visions are not sent by God. If they're this dark, if they're this unholy in his mind, surely that's not, whatever God they're praying to that is sending those messages. Surely it's something demonic or evil. So we can't determine right now if he is being nefarious or if he's being just truly like zealous about his religion. But we can see if Thomason might know, if she can get an inkling. So let's look at Thomason's wisdom. We're going to go with wisdom here. She's got an 11. The way this game works is you roll a d20 and you want to get an 11 or lower, because that's her wisdom score is an 11. So we got to get an 11 or less. 19. No idea. She is petrified. She is scared out of her mind. She is worried that she might be the devil. And now he's getting angry with her and telling her, this is vile stuff, Thomason. You can't be talking about these kinds of things. Keep your mouth shut. Pray, daughter, pray. Pray that you are not infected with the blaspheming demons and devils. He's really railing into her, I think. And she is in tears streaming down her cheeks. And she's just frightened for her soul. Maybe there's even this moment where he sort of looks at her like sideways, like maybe he has this moment. Let's see. Let's go with character motivations. Let's see what we can come up with for him. So D100 here. Okay, a 2. Adversity. Interesting. And one more. 40. Adversity and hide. Interesting. His motivations. Okay, so I think he's going to tell her, never speak of this, Thomason. Never a word. You understand? So I'm getting the sense that Morgrave is actually not evil per se, but his zealousness is going to be a problem anyway. It's going to cause basically evil to gain a foothold. He's telling her, hide away this truth. Never speak of this. And he's basically like, I've got my eye on you. You better not be dabbling in witchcraft or deviltry. You never speak of this again. And I think he knows that in his zealous, withered heart, that he probably is going to have to report this and probably is going to have her burnt at the stake. I think this is a very, like we said, a very zealous Puritan society. They are living on the edge of civilization. Do you know what that does to you? It causes you to fear deeply. You look out at night into the darkness that surrounds your fortress and you see nothing but witchcraft and deviltry and shadows coming for you. And I think it twists the mind when you're out here on the edge of civilization, fighting for your lives. I mean, every day you got to hunt. Every day you got to be growing food. And if things go wrong, you guys could be starving. And maybe it was God that was damning you. So I think, he's got a twisted mind, and he's afraid that if he sees this young girl who perhaps he maybe saw as a daughter of his flock, and was part of raising her. It takes a village to raise children, and now he's seeing what might be the beginnings of a witchcraft or a possession inside of this person. And I think he knows that it's not going to end well for her. And right now he's telling her to be quiet, but that's because he needs to think. I think deep down he knows he's going to expose her and have her killed. I think that's what he knows deep down. But we're going to see. We're going to see. All right, that is all the time we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining me for our first solo role-playing game experience. I'm so glad we got to make some characters, dive into Thomason's story, and start to understand the world that we're in. And next episode, we're going to see how things unfold and when or where Thomason runs into this group of misfits. So look out for that. Episode 2 coming out soon, and we'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks so much.